Hey everybody, it's Peter, and this is the Pedego Cargo. This is an all-new cargo bike from Pedego, and I love cargo bikes. I used to own a cargo bike, and we're going to talk about the benefits of this one, all the cool features, that kind of thing, to help you decide if it's right for you. Now, if you have questions and you're unsure, and maybe I don't get to it in this video and you want to know more, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, and do me a favor, hit that like button. The like button actually helps this channel. I'm gonna review a whole bunch of cargo bikes on this channel and sort of give you the benefits of each one to help you decide which one's right for you. But the cool thing is I'm filming here at Jim Gilbert's Power Sports, Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals, and they give me complete access to their entire lineup of vehicles, bicycles, everything they sell. So if there's something that you want to know about that I don't get to in this video, I can come back to it again and again and again to make sure that you get the information that you need. So in this video, what we're going to do is try to show you some of the things that the other videos aren't showing you by doing a really in-depth kind of walk around. So grab yourself some popcorn, grab yourself a beverage, let's get going. All right, so let's talk briefly about what is a cargo bike, and there are actually a whole bunch of definitions, and some of them are good and some of them are bad, and we're going to go through and help you decide what makes them good. We got an ATV ripping through the background here from the service department. Anyways, we're going to go through what makes them good, what makes them not good, and this one's a pretty good one. So let's start with what is a cargo bike. A lot of cargo bikes have big, huge baskets out front, really extended wheelbases. This is a different style of cargo bike than others, and this is a very popular style, or a style that is becoming more popular. And the idea with this one is you have a rider up front, and you usually put kids on the back. Now, it does allow you to take a whole lot of cargo as well, but it's primarily designed to take smaller people or a second full-size adult. You can take two people here, you can get accessories and that kind of thing and build it on. But this is a specific style of bike that is designed to take people and their goods. In other words, the original thought was it'll replace your car trips, it'll replace your minivan. This one, Pedego does not talk about it as being the minivan of bicycles, because minivan is a bad word in the auto industry. It is the SUV of bicycles if you go on Pedego's website. And that kind of makes sense. If you think about where you would take your SUV around town, these are really good. I used to take my kids to soccer practice on this. I used to take them to school on this. Not like this exact one, I'll show you that one in a second. But this style of bike works very well, especially if you have little kids. And the cool thing about this style is, forgetting the bicycle itself, especially if you're taking kids, it is a whole different experience. It is the favorite vehicle we've ever owned in our family, because we have conversations with our kids that we wouldn't have. We get to see them interact with other people, because people love, if you bike through this in town just with you as a rider, nobody sees you, nobody pays any attention to you. As soon as you put a couple cute kids on the back, then you have something where people smile and wave, and the kids smile and wave, and you have nice little conversations with people as you're going by slowly and that kind of thing. And you teach the kids that biking is fun, that your neighborhood is safe and fun, and you have a great way to show them the world, introduce them to biking, but also just have that really cool family time. Some of my best memories are the conversations I used to have with my kids as they were sitting on the back of a cargo bike. So this style of cargo bike is far more than just a mechanical thing that gives you function. It is also really great for young families. I know this for a fact because, like I said, I've really bonded with other kids, and when I talked to people who had them as well, that was one of the first things that came up. It's just a great way to bond with your kids, have some fun, keep them safe, and we'll talk about that in the function setting as we go through this video. So what makes a good cargo bike, especially in this style? Well, I gotta be honest, the picture you're seeing right now is the very first cargo bike that I had when my kids grew up on it, and it had one key piece missing that did limit us a little bit. That bike was not powered. It was not an e-bike. It was just a regular bicycle. So while there's some charm to that, it also becomes something that, as the kids got heavier and as the hills got taller, there were a few places where I was working pretty hard to get going. And I like biking, so it wasn't the end of the world, but an e-bike is the way to go. And there are good e-bikes and there are bad e-bikes. Pedego makes some really good e-bikes. And one of the things Pedego does is think about features. One of the benefits with an e-bike is the electric motor and the battery, like that combination, that powered system, helps eliminate the weight of extra bikes. So you've got all this extra bike here that you would have over a regular bike, and the e-bike system right away eliminates that weight, and then it also helps you up hills. It also helps you carry a little extra weight. It also helps you go a little farther. So an e-bike is one of the key pieces. We're going to talk about some of the e-bike pieces, but that's not the only thing. So we're going to start at the front, work our way back, and talk about the cargo bike pieces that make this one really good. So the first thing I want to talk about is these wheels, and you can see there's some style to them. Let's just kind of zoom all the way in. You can see there's some nice sort of motorcycle style spoked wheels there, come out a little bit, come out a little bit more, and you can sort of see what we've got. So fat tires are the new thing in bicycles, new thing in e-bikes. They're not required for everybody, but they do offer you some nice advantages. They have some natural shock absorbing qualities on their own. So these are about 4 inches wide, I believe. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, 4 inches wide. They do have a little bit more traction. Pedego has some various styles to their e-bike tires, and this one has a little bit extra traction. What these kind of do is they make a rail trail and even grass almost as smooth and grippy as a regular pavement. So I won't say grass is as grippy, but the confidence level you have driving over grass is higher when you have some of these wider tires. And they also help absorb some of the shock, which is kind of nice. Now, this bike also has shock absorbers. Shock absorbers are actually a bit of a controversial thing on some e-bikes, or some cargo bikes, I should say, because as you load them with weight, you're actually pressuring the suspension. But because of this style, you can have a little bit of suspension travel there. It's going to ease up things just as you go over curbs and other stuff. And of course, anytime you smooth out the ride here, you're not just smoothing it for yourself, you're smoothing it for the riders that are coming with you. So you have some suspension that also has a lockout. One of the key things to lockout is the bike doesn't bounce when you ride. So if you're on really smooth pavement, just use the wheels for your suspension. You can lock this out, and that means that you're a little bit more efficient. Efficiency is a good thing in the bicycling world. So pretty typical stuff down here, other than their really unique wheels that Pedego has. The other thing you're gonna notice is the diameter of the wheel is smaller than on many other bikes. Cargo bikes in particular, sometimes the front wheel is still larger, but the rear wheel is tending to shrink smaller now. And that's just keeping your center of gravity a little bit lower, bringing that axle a little bit lower. All things that are gonna make you have just a little bit more balance when you start loading them with weight. Now, I will say mine had the big 26-inch wheels and tires, and it was still very stable for me. But again, smaller wheel gives you a little bit more inherent advantage with that. So smaller wheels, not a bad thing. It's geared to go fast, so don't worry. On a regular bike, smaller wheels can usually mean slower, but we're dealing with an e-bike, so things are different. Let's look up a little bit at this rack here. So a good cargo bike is going to have a way to take luggage, and it's going to put it in places that is easy to kind of handle. So this is not your typical, handlebar mounted basket. It actually is mounted to the frame of the bike and not the wheel itself. When you mount the rack to the handlebar or the wheel, same system, it can tilt a little bit more. This is going to keep things a little bit more together. The other nice thing is, by keeping it level with the bike, your gear stays together, it can be stronger, it can hold more, and you have good visibility of everything in there. So again, whether you have a cargo net, whatever you want to do, there's lots of ways to tie things down. I like using things called gear ties. They worked really well on my cargo bike to tie things down. But having a rack on the front, it is removable. If you don't want it there, it's fine, but it really doesn't interfere with your riding because, like I said, the steering is still lightweight. That's the other thing. If you mount it to the frame, it doesn't increase the weight of your steering, so it feels basically the same whether you have it loaded or not. If it's mounted to your handlebars or the wheel, as you increase the weight here, it's not just the weight on the bike, it's also the weight on the steering, and it really kind of changes your handling. So that's one thing to look for in a good e-bike. Moving up a little bit, we'll talk about other things. This one does come standard with lights. You can see sort of in the center of your screen there. We're gonna move on the bike and look at a few more cargo specific things. One of the most important pieces to look for on a bike like this is a lower top tube here. Now here's the thing. Technically, mathematically, to triangulate this, to have a little bit higher top tube here, you can get various things where you have technically more strength, but you add a little bit of weight by curving the bar instead of having it straight. There's a whole bunch of reasons that things are done in different ways. The bigger point is you want a low top tube, because if you have a kid sitting here, and there are also, like, first of all, your middle school child can just climb on here, but your toddler or something like that, you can get things that look like car seats that sort of mount here. You can mount two of them. If you have a seat there or a kid there, you can't kick them in the head as you get on the bike. So you don't want to do that. You want to be able to climb off like this. So this bike has that low top tube to allow you to climb on here. Now, another thing, this one has a center stand. We're going to show you that a little bit later, but I want to show you the crank, which is what the pedal is connected to. So this piece here is actually fairly short on this bike. This bike is not set up correctly for me. I would tilt the handlebars forward to give me a little bit more forward ride. It's a little bit compact. The person who built this bike is a little shorter than me, and the person who rides this, or this would have been tested out with, is a shorter woman than I am. She's a woman and she's shorter than me. But you can see the cranks are sort of short. When you have longer cranks, you have a little bit more leverage. So that's something to keep in mind. You don't need the leverage because it's an e-bike, but the more your legs move, if you're wearing something like jeans, the more chafing you can get. So you can see shorter cranks actually can be an advantage because you need to spin, but you don't need to move a whole lot of distance because you've got some electric assist. So short cranks matter, easy climb over matters. Let's keep going back here. We're gonna show this piece from the other side, but let's look at this piece right now. All right, so a lot to talk about here. This particular bike, as it's set up, has a bag in here. We're gonna show that from the other side because this bar that's here is not on the other side, so that's an advantage. A lot of people wonder why a lot of e-bikes put a plastic panel here. This one does it with wood, and why is that necessary? First of all, this folds down. We'll show you that in just a second here as we zoom in a little closer, but you want this panel here because you don't want child's laces or anything else getting caught in the spokes. Now this one has a different style wheel, but you don't want to have fingers or things or anything else like that, or even straps and stuff, because you can mount various cargo bags here and then maybe some dangling straps. So this is going to keep your kids safe from putting their anything through here, anything, their shoelaces, their feet, their legs, that kind of thing. They're not going to get tangled up. And a lot of times you think, oh, that's not going to happen. But remember, if you hit a big bump and your child twists or something like that, and it didn't have protection, their entire leg could go into your spokes. That gets ugly, that gets nasty. So this is a stylish way of having a practical feature. Now you can see down low, when you fold that footboard down, if someone sits on here, I got big size 11s, they have not only a place to put their feet, but they have a grippy, like skateboard grip tape is what this is. And the nice thing is not a lot of e-bikes have this piece that folds up. So that narrows out the back. It's a little easier to put on a bike rack like that, but it also gives you just a little bit more compact design. And you can see there's lots of places to tie things down here, clip things on when it's up. And when it's down, again, an extra platform as well as a place for your feet. So smart design there. Looking up a little bit, again, your middle school kid can use that to hang on. You have something behind you, so you've got places to jump on. So kids love just jumping across here and sitting on it. Now you can fit a couple kids here. You can change this size out a little bit. This one's sort of set up for one and a half kind of kids as it is, but you can get accessories to change that to be a two-person thing. Lots of stuff. Let's show you the other side for a second, where we can show you not just the center stand, the side stand, but also that bag in the middle of your screen. So taking a look at this side here, a lot of people think from a distance that this is just a big battery area. This is actually a brilliant area. On this bar here, on the other side, there's a bar that comes around here, but this one doesn't have that. And what that allows you to do is unzip this and get into the bag down here. If I go all the way around, there we go. You can get into the bag in there. So you can see you have a large storage area in there. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit. Nice and deep storage area, fairly wide area that you can fit stuff in. Now you can get to that from the side like we are right now, or you can come in through the top as well. I don't believe it's the second, yeah, it's the same thing. So whether you want to come in through the top or through the side, you can, but only on this side, which again, curb side of the road. So if you're sitting there playing around, you can park on this side of the road, or at least that's where I would park on this side. It's the side that you traditionally get off of the bicycle on a normal bicycle. Most people get on from this side. I mean, some people get on from the other side as well. So that is actually a bag area. Now, I will be honest, the Pedego expert that works here is off today. This does have a range extender, which would be an extra battery. I believe that extra battery would go in this general area. That can get you up to 132 miles of range. Now, usually those are overstated, but that's still a whole lot of range. The battery on this bike is down here in the frame. It plugs in, so it's nice and cleanly mounted in there. Now let's talk kickstands for a brief second here. You have the center stand down there. A center stand is really crucial because as your kids are getting on, you've got 2 points of contact and it stays level. Now you should always hold the bike as they're getting on, although if your kids are anything like mine, they're gonna figure out how to do that all by themselves, even with the center stand. Not the safest thing, but again, it adds some stability, keeps the bike properly upright to the ground and helps them get on. But if you're just getting on and off quickly, you also have a side stand mounted to the frame so you can get on. Disc brakes, speedy gearing, lots of good things going on here. Let's take a look at some of the controls as well. So a couple things about riding this bike that you need to be aware of. First of all, we're going to zoom right into the front chainring there. You can see it has a protective piece on this side and that side, but still allows you to easily access the chain. Now on a cargo bike, part of the chain is covered when it goes back to the the child's protected area with those pieces of wood. So you can easily lube your chain from this side here. It's nice to have it open, but that's going to keep your pants safe. So that's a good thing to have. Because it's a single chain ring, you've got multiple gears out back, and basically your largest gears are very good climbing gears. It doesn't go like an even triangle to the small gears. It's the very large climbing gears, and then it quickly goes down to speed gears. You need speed gears on an e-bike because you have electric assist. The seat here is a suspension seat post, so that's nice to have. The other thing is you'll notice that on a sporty bike, like a a good mountain bike or a good road bike, you have a narrower seat, and that's because your sit bones, when you lean forward, are narrower than when you lean back. So you need a little bit wider seat on this bike. You can have a narrower seat on the other bike, but you still got a quickly narrowing area, which is going to allow you to get that pedal stroke in. So again, when you see those narrow bikes on road bikes, you wonder how can they be comfortable? It's because they're sitting on narrower sit bones because they're leaned forward. As they lean back, you're going to need a little bit wider area, and that's what this has got. This is good for men or for women. It's got the nice groove in there, so it's quite comfortable that way, which is a nice thing to have. So that's some of the basics with just riding comfort. The other thing, like I said, is you can move this handlebar here forward for me, back. This is a kind of bike that fits multiple people. It's not the kind of bike that has to be sized like a typical mountain bike or anything else. We did mention disc brakes front and rear. I didn't mention that they are hydraulic. You can see it says, well, maybe you can't see, it does say mineral oil there. So they are hydraulic brakes, which basically means you have highly powerful brakes that also have a very good consistent feel to it. And of course, even though you're not going too fast, this bike goes about 20 miles an hour, 32-ish kilometers an hour of electric assist. You've got a lot of weight here, so if you start heading downhill or even as you start going, it's more weight than a typical lightweight bicycle, especially when you have a couple people on here, so you need quality brakes that are going to slow you down and feel consistent, and that's what they are. Down here, you've got a lot of things going on. You do have a rear light that is capable of having signal lights. Now, we've seen this on the Pedego Moto, and it's also the same system on the Pedego Cargo. So you can turn your headlights on and off, you can turn your high beam on and off, you can turn your signal lights on and off. Now the signals to me are nice. I would still use some level of hand signaling. It's the same light. We'll show you them in a second here. Actually, you know what? Why don't we just show you right now? All right, so it may not look like it, but that light is on now. And if I hit the signal lights right now, you will see, first of all, if you hit the brake light, first of all, there's the brake lights in the center. The exterior there is the tail light. So we'll turn it off in a second just so you can sort of see it off. But let's hit the signal light. Now you can see what I mean. You can hear the beeping. I'm gonna lean into the controller. It does beep. It can be annoying, but it does give you that very fast flashing signal light. I'm not a huge fan of that. You can sort of tap it to hit that, and you can sort of see that regular tail light come back on. We're gonna just turn this off for a second here, and you should see that tail light turn off in a second. There we go. So the tail light is on, brake light there. But again, as far as signal light, it does beep, and maybe it's not the best signal. Maybe use hand signal as well, but it does have that, which is nice to have. So now let's take a look at the controller here. I'm just gonna turn it on by holding this for a second here, and you see, hello, fun. Yes, this is pretty fun. This is a very, very nice controller. You can sort of see it shows power rating and stuff. So currently the torque is off. What that means is that if I was to pedal, it's just like a regular bicycle. And again, cargo bikes, you can pedal them just like a regular bicycle. You're never stranded. It just obviously is a little bit more work, but most of the time you're gonna wanna use your power. So first of all, instead of going up, we're gonna go down here, and that is throttle only. Now I'm gonna show you quickly the throttle. The throttle has a little blue light there, and the throttle is just this piece from, from there in, so I can spin it and it will spin the rear tire with throttle only. So when that light is blue, I don't know if you can see it very clearly, but it is blue there, that is your throttle only. What that means is if you pedal, you are still pedaling like a regular bicycle. There's no difference there. But you can, if you approach a little bit of a hill up, you can give a little bit of throttle and it'll give you a little extra power. Or even if you stop in a high gear, you can get a little bit extra throttle, and it'll just get you up to speed without having to downshift your gear. So that's throttle only. We're gonna go back up to torque off, which means no power assist. And then you're gonna go through 3 levels, level 1, level 2, and level 3. And what those do is they add torque as you are pedaling. So think of, pedaling through your gears, that kind of thing. Level 3 is going to give you the most level of assistance. So you're just going to be basically spinning. You're not even going to be pushing that hard, and it's going to do a lot of the pushing itself. As you gear it down, you're going to save some battery, and then you're going to contribute a little bit. And level 1, you're going to contribute a little bit as well, and it's going to contribute a little bit. So what it's doing is once you start pedaling, it's sensing you pedal, and then it's going to add in torque. Now remember, only 3 settings on this one, but that's plenty. That's all you need. Now in any of these settings, the throttle, we'll show you that again for a second there. We'll just zoom in this time. It's just, whoops, a little bit shaky on the camera work. But if we zoom in, you can see there's that green light on the throttle there. Green light means that throttle is active. It's flickering only because it's being filmed. That's the shutter speed interacting with the LED light. There's no flickering in real life. So when it's blue, it's throttle only. When it's green, it's like, hey, I'm ready. So basically, if you have it in throttle level 1 and you want to spin this throttle just to get up the hill and then go back down, you don't have to tap up to throttle level 3. You can just spin this on that hill, bring it back down, or you can spin this to get going and bring it back down. And it saves you from having to shift and from having to change your power settings. So it's kind of a nice little function to have there. Taking a quick look at this display, we're going to do a full review of this display later when we do a full riding review of this bike. You can see it's set to mellow. 21% is the battery life right now. You have a timer, you have a lot of other things. Again, we're going to show you this controller in a future video. I don't want to go too long on this. So again, good reason to subscribe, good reason to hit a like button. The more likes and stuff like that, the sooner I come back to this kind of stuff. So if I see there's a lot of interest, let me know and I'll come back to all this stuff. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is just quickly ride this around here. Normally I do a torture test, which is a steep hill here where I put it in the throttle only mode and let the motor pull us up a hill here. We're gonna let these guys pull around here for a second, but I'm gonna ride this around and show you what it's like and talk about real quickly. If you wanna see that torture test, make sure you subscribe. We're here at Canada's huggable car dealer, #1 Kawasaki dealer, and a great Pedego dealer. That's why they're in the background there with that truck. But let me just show you here. I'm gonna start off with throttle only. Now I've got pedal assist 1, so when I start pedaling, we'll show you that in a second, but when I start with throttle only, right away it goes, and it's got a lot of torque to pull you. Now when I pedal, you can feel a little bit of power kicking in. That's basically eliminating the weight. One thing to notice, again, this bike's not set up properly for me with the handlebars, but one thing to notice about a bike like this is it is very, very, very easy to control. You can see I'm going very slowly. One thing you find about like a race bike, for instance, is with the drop handlebars, is they have a very steep front angle and a very short wheelbase. That makes them unstable at slow speeds. This is very stable at slow speeds, and if I turn the torque off completely, I can pedal it down at a very, very slow speed. What you want in a cargo bike is something that is incredibly stable at slow speeds. And you can see I'm trying to push it a little bit here. In fact, it's reading 0 miles per hour, so I'm going less than 1 mile per hour on this when I'm crawling through. And of course the camera's wide angle, it's going to skew a little bit, but stability is such a key to a bike. Now we're going to go to throttle level 3 and I'm going to start pedaling, and right away, lots of torque, easy. You can drive it fast as well. It's no problem. So stability is a huge piece of a cargo bike, and this bike has it. Let's zoom in and talk about what this bike, who this bike is for and what's great about it, and see if it's right for you. So let's talk about who this bike is for. This is a casual riding bike that you can take, especially kids with, that you do have little rails here that I probably didn't show you well enough that you can strap cargo and cargo bags to and add extra stuff. It is a vehicle replacement that is comfortable and casual, but because it's an e-bike, it will basically keep up with the spandex crowd. And because it has a large battery here, an expandable battery with a range extending, you can get up to 132 miles. Again, that's not going to be fully accurate for everybody in every situation. You're going to cut that back a little bit, but the point is you can get all the range you would typically want in a normal bike. What's cool about this is with these things that fold up, it becomes much easier to put on a bike rack. You can get bike racks that hold a little bit longer bikes with the fat tires, not a problem. I have a Hollywood rack, so it's a brand name that I use that works with a bike like this, and there's other racks out there that do that. What this does is it is, for some, a car replacement. For others, it is something that gets your kids out and spends time with you. For my wife and I, we used to bike together all the time before we had kids, and then all of a sudden we couldn't. And then I was able to take my kids on here, and they loved coming with us. They didn't have to ride on their own, but they still got the experience of riding, and they now, they like riding and they've learned that kind of thing. So it is fun for that. But the other thing it is is just a really practical everyday bike. You don't need to keep your second bike, that's your normal bike, unless it's a true fitness bike, carbon fiber, whatever, then you may want to keep that. But a regular everyday bike, if it's just a commuter bike, you can commute on this, you can take your extra stuff, you can, again, strap bags on, strap stuff on, take all the stuff. But even if you don't strap bags on, you've got this bag here, which takes all the things you need to. If you want to have stuff up there as well, you can do your shopping, you can do your running around, you can do your everyday things with this bike. So, who is this bike for? I strongly recommend this style of bike to people with young kids that, you know, will start out on car seats that you can get as accessories on here, jump onto this level seat as they go on and continue riding for a while. This will last you many, many years, especially as the ones get a little bit older. If you have a lot of kids, you know, the younger kids go in here, the older kids get off, or if you just want to go with an older kid for a while and just take one kid for a while, maybe a couple kids, you can do that as well. Like I say, I keep saying a couple kids, you can fit a couple on here. There's some adapters and other things that will fit various size kids. So it's great for kids. It's secondarily good for cargo. There are better pure cargo bikes if you're just using it as a courier system or a pizza delivery thing, although you can get a flat pack here, which you can use it for pizza delivery. They do that in all kinds of towns as well. One thing that's great about Pedego, they have an easy to understand controller here. We'll show you that in a future thing. It's easy to ride, has great balance, so that's a good thing. And they have a dealer network that is pretty well set up, so if you were to travel anywhere, you're still gonna be able to get parts and pieces as you go. So, lots of good to like about this bike. It is definitely a step up from before. The fat tires make a difference. The overall design makes a difference. This little storage bag is genius. It's worth jumping up to it's 2024 now. I don't know what Pedego goes by model years, but the 2024 cargo bike, I would think, in my mind, this is a nice improvement, nice evolution over the previous things. First of all, because you've got the new controllers, new power, but you also have a little bit better designed bike than in the past, and I think it's gonna be more versatile for more people. So there's my opinion. Let me know if it's right for you. And again, if you want to know more, we're going to review more cargo bikes on this channel. Hit that subscribe button. Do me a favor, hit this like, give the video a like, and we'll keep going from there. Thanks everybody for watching.